Welcome, one and all, once again to the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, brought to you by the amazing people at Water Cleanup of Florida. We are in a place where natural disasters can happen of all kinds. We do get water. We get lots of rain, especially soon with the rainy season, the hurricane season. Fires can happen at any time. Mold with the humidity, definitely can happen. And they all sound scary. Whenever I hear them, I shriek a little. But what's made me relax around those words is knowing Water Cleanup of Florida is there to help me, help you, help everyone out. And the fact that they're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week is amazing. Because a lot of the time, when issues arise, you want to act on it immediately. And if it's late night, early morning, weekend, you don't know if you can get someone, or you try to get someone and they don't answer or they don't have time. Well, you can call Water Cleanup of Florida 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they will help you set up an appointment. They'll come out, assess the situation, and with their licensed contractors, they will fix whatever ails you, as they say. Just give them a call, 954-579-0356, or check out their website at WCUFL.com, WCUFL.com. Mention 5 Reasons or Lubie, and you will receive a free inspection during business hours. They are a one-stop shop. Again, instead of having to call a bunch of places, look into a bunch of places, to first have the situation diagnosed and then have to go find someone else to fix it, Water Cleanup of Florida will do it all for you. Just give them a call again, 954-579-0356. Or you can also follow them on the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Water Cleanup FL, Water Cleanup of Florida. We clean up your schmutz. It was an interesting night last night for the Miami Heat. I was stressed out, being the quintessential South Florida fan where I love my teams, I root for my teams, and I'm also negative as all heck. So when the Hawks cut it to a 3-point lead late in that ball game, I was not happy. But Jimmy Butler put on his cape, as we saw so often in the bubble run to the NBA Finals a couple years ago. Wasn't the greatest night for everyone, but Jimmy Butler did carry that team, and the Miami Heat now set up 2-0 over the Atlanta Hawks. Defo and I talk about that today, the Miami Heat, and the rest of the NBA playoff action from last night, and maybe some of the things we're looking for the Heat going forward today on the Defo Show with Lubie, right here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Of course, we have what? The draft, which I'm not really as prepared for. The draft is always an interesting proposition for guys in sports media, especially here in South Florida, where there was an obsessive interest in football. And then the draft, when it became popular after ESPN started televising it in 1983.
Yeah.
And then people just really got more and more into it, and you would have draft parties. I don't know. They still do that, where they have draft parties where you can win stuff for having the right bracket filled down, if you will. I guess it's not a bracket or whatever. Right list of draftees. I just saw the consensus mock draft. This is like the 100th mock draft that I viewed. The one yesterday really got to me because it was like all 7 rounds. Jim Sarney appreciated that we identified this guy.
He wants us to interview the guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a guarantee, Jim. Like, it really means nothing.
What are the odds? I mean, the odds are more than 100 to 1. I mean, he's going to be, supposedly, according to this mock draft expert, it was going to be the 102nd pick of the Miami Dolphins, which, if that turns out to be the case, yeah, you know what? We should find that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever wrote that story,
and
make sure that we just absolutely deify and eulogize. Not eulogize, but we don't want him to die. But
deify, yes.
Pay proper homage to this gentleman. If he pegged the 102nd pick,
that's impressive,
of the Miami Dolphins somewhere, what would that be? Third round?
I think it's third round. I think it's like mid.
How is that third round though? I mean, there are only 32 teams, so wouldn't that be the 4th round? 96 picks. Are there supplemental picks in there?
There are supplemental picks in the rounds. 10? It may be 4th round. I don't know. I thought the Dolphins at least had a late 3rd. It may be early 4th. I don't know. And
we're evidence of what's wrong with this whole thing, because we're trying to speculate as to what not that. I mean, I would think that that's just total idle speculation. But I mean, how on earth are you going to pick the 3rd round pick of the Miami Dolphins in a draft where they don't have any other selections prior? So you have no idea what they're thinking going into that. And the common wisdom though is, Lubie, we need linebacking help. You can always find a good one there in that third and fourth round. That's where you really build up the roster for your team. The questions would be what? And we used to have any number of guys. You used to book these guys, arbitrary guys that you would get from various sports agents would call you and say, hey, you want to put Joe Schmenk on your show? And we're like, Schmenk, yeah. What's his draft status? Well, he may not get drafted, but, he wants to talk about it. He's out of the University of Houston. You're like, what?
We've done that a lot.
And you're thinking, you can't get any more obscure than this. It's not like we're talking about the guy that might go anywhere 1 through 5, and everybody wants to talk to this guy and see how he's feeling that day. Wants to know just what level of pressure he's going to put on Roger Goodell when he gets up there and hugs him on the stage. Because there have been a couple of guys that wanted to squeeze the life right out of Roger Goodell.
So yeah, and about this Dolphins 102 pick. From 97 to 105 are special compensatory picks. So I guess whether it's a trade, the hiring of the African Americans, or the interviewing, or giving up something when it's a restricted free agent.
All this bullshit that
they've added, I guess, they add picks at the end of certain rounds, because 96 is the last one that ends the third round. And then from 97 to 105, each pick says special compensatory pick. So I guess it's considered end of the third round, 102.
All right. So, yeah, it's all part of the third round. So it's something to get excited about. Well, when will that take place? The first round is Thursday, a week from tomorrow. And then you're going to have the second and third rounds a week from Friday. Wow, yeah. I can't wait, Lubie. I can't wait. I do enjoy watching the people speculate about the pick and then having it come up as something completely different.
That's my favorite.
And then Mel is like gargling with mousse there, and his hair's all standing up. And he's like, I can't believe it. I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. How can this franchise survive?
See, my favorite were the Gruden ones, where 4 people would pick 4 different players, and then it would be a guy that no one not only picked, no one mentioned, and then they all would be like, wow, what a great pick. It's like, dude, you all got it wrong. How could it be a great pick if none of you had the guy? Like, none of you had
In other words, our opinions are worthless.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're up here barking at you for like 9 hours. Now, the other thing, and you would set up these interviews with guys that I never heard of. I mean, I'm not as deeply into college football as some people are. I don't know every player on every roster. Not far from it, right? I barely could name you, I don't even know if I could name you like a UM guy at this point. The coach we know is, Mario Cristobal, right? Yes. They brought back a couple of other guys. I saw Ed Reed hanging around. He's easily identifiable.
It's like the GM.
Because he does look like a homeless guy at times, right?
With the hair. Reed. He has a weird thing with the hair. He
and
doesn't
the beard.
cut any of it.
The beard is like a homeless beard, is it not?
We're not being prejudicial.
I don't want to describe it that way because I have a great affinity
Latin.
and empathy for homeless people. I really do.
No, it's not hating. It's not well kept. Like his hair, the beard's not kept. He just doesn't. He's just like, all right, I'm Ed Reed. No one's gonna fuck with me.
I mean, he just it could be like Richie Havens or something is up there, and you're thinking he's going to say freedom, freedom. Who was the guy now? I'm blanking on the name that I should
Hendricks?
know. The guy who was a comedian, and he became like a real revolutionary guy.
Oh, good.
Dick, what is it? Come on, Lubie. Dick Gregory.
Then I don't know that name. I wasn't
Dick
going to ever
Gregory,
give you that name.
He has like a Dick Gregory look.
Never give
that kind of thing. Anyway, never mind all that. I mean, but we would have these guys on, and we knew nothing about them. You knew nothing about them.
No, they're random
You give
players.
me some like capsulization. It looks like he's going to go.
Well, they played on a team that was good. Usually, it's like they came from Notre Dame or they came from Oklahoma or Alabama. So they're like, all right, whatever. We'll talk about the team and the journey or whatever the hell.
The journey. See, that word should never be used ever. I mean, unless you're Susie Colbert, as these guys come off the stage and you go, "Oh, tell us about your journey." What is this? The Bachelorette?
Like they went through the desert and they found the mountain top.
What is this guy? Freaking Moses? I mean, come on. How heavy were those tablets? Get out of here. Your journey.
They do love the journey. They say journey every single
time. I was a star in high school. Every college was throwing money in his face. He ended up playing for Nick Saban. And guess what? After 2 years, he decided to leave, or 3, whatever the requirement is. Yeah. And now he's going to be a first-round draft pick and make millions of dollars. What kind of journey is that? I mean, that's a short trip, my friend. Right to the top. Oh, tell us about your journey. I always love that.
I know you.
But at least we didn't stoop to those levels, like where we asked the guy. You might have done that, Lubie. No, I didn't let you get in too many questions that he's
I probably did.
I used to have on the show.
When it was Miami people, I always did. You know, the city of Miami. How did it make you? How do you play with Miami on your back? 100%. Because Miami players always say that there's nothing like Miami. I was like, okay, why?
Oh yeah, they say that at every school, right? Come on. You think at the University of Pittsburgh, they're saying, you know what, this school was okay, but I wish I was wearing that Miami uniform.
Well,
no,
maybe.
Every school has its own, be true to your school, my friend. That's what it's all about. But we always used to ask, what was the dumbest question anybody asked you at the combine or in any of the interviews?
Yep.
And the guy, some of these guys, were I guess, eloquent enough to go ahead and give us like a funny answer back. And a lot of guys, they just, kind of whiffed on that question also, which at that time you were sitting there going, wow, is this interview worthless? Because we're getting nothing out of it. It's not our style to sit there and just dissect the facts with some guy. And the guy has no idea where he's going to be selected. Hey, what team would you like to play for? Well, I grew up in Chicago. I'd really like to play for the Bears. Okay, great.
They always ask that, and it's like, what do you want the guy to say? Where are you? That's what they're going to say. Like, it's like your Max M finger, where it's like one recruit was going to 14 schools. Like, what do you expect the kid to say? He wants to get drafted, unless it's number one. Yeah. Outside of that, these guys are just happy to have a paycheck to play a sport.
Who wouldn't be? I mean, come on. And it's a substantial paycheck at that, even at the league minimum. All right, Don. Well, that's all I had. And Tony, no doubt, involved in a ton of draft coverage. Yeah. So we'll get into that with Tony Segreto as well. But, the closing of Pompano Park, I think might be significant because just because of the presence of this Alan Finkelson, who has been gone for a long time. I mean, what a great guy. There are a few people in life that you run across, and they always make you feel good, no matter how you're feeling at the time. Right? And isn't that a great quality where somebody just always makes you feel good? Like they make you feel good to be alive. Hey, kiddo, you're looking good, whatever, Looks like you took off a few pounds.
Fiore always does that. Fiore, Vissermama, and Segreto's up there too, where no matter what's going on, you would never think they had a bad day or a bad moment in their life. Like they always are happy and make you feel like you're the most important thing that they've ever met in their entire life.
Yeah, some schmuck at a bar, right? Leslie would walk up to him and say, hey, so you're a Red Sox fan.
She's there for 30 minutes.
Right? And then the guy would take him, sometimes a second to realize, whoa, wait a minute. Yeah, you're Leslie Visser. Are you kidding me? Yep. Wow. Still look the same as you did when you were on the sidelines there, going way back to the origins of Monday Night Football. All right, the Heat last night. Lubie, you're crying, you're fetching, you're whining, you're bitching. They won by 10.
I know.
You know that this is the way it goes. Usually you'll see a response by a team that got shellacked in the first game of a series that isn't half of a bad team. Atlanta played very well in the latter stages of the season, worked their way into the postseason with a couple of dramatic victories in the play-in week, which I thought was valuable. A lot of people are dissing it. I just don't see the reason to complain about getting free entertainment on TV.
One, we haven't heard the word tanking. When was the last time you heard tanking? We heard it 25 times a day 2 years ago. When was the last, like, whether you like the tanking or you don't like it, no one can think it's great for sports. I have not heard that term at all in the last 2 years. So you can't say playing hasn't done something.
You have to hope also for Hugh Jackson that his assertion that the Browns forced him to tank was the major contributing factor behind his 1-31 record as a head coach of the Browns.
It was on purpose, guys.
For 2 years.
They told me.
They fired him after he won like 3 games in the same season.
They were pissed.
I think he was 2-5, 7 games into the next season after going 1-31. So if there was ever a guy that wanted to see these allegations, these assertions proven to be, of some foundation, it would be Hugh Jackson. Otherwise, this guy was one of the worst coaches.
Coat tight's like, geez, Jackson.
Had a notepad, anything. I mean, No, and he's probably got a difficult road to prove that. I mean, how do you prove that the organization was behind the whole notion of losing? Not going to be easy. I mean, it's the Brian Flores assertion about Stephen Ross. I don't know, unless he's got a tape recording, right? Was somebody wearing a wire that he had out there?
I mean, this day and age, people send a lot of emails, And a
Who
lot
would
of the
write
time,
that in an email if you were the owner of a team, though?
Well-
Hey, Brian, I tell you what here. I'm Stephen Ross. I own this ball club. I know it goes totally against the entire concept of what the
And
NFL is all
record.
about, but I would like you to lose these games, and I'll pay you another $100,000. Love, Steve. Do you write love in an email?
I was
Do you
gonna
write
say,
the word love in
no.
an email? Is that a proper closing?
No, but
No?
that would be great if he did write "Love Steve." He just
Love,
signs every
Steve.
email.
Yeah, here you go, man. Here's an extra 1.6 mil if you lose them all.
Exactly. Oh my God.
But I mean, look what it did.
I don't know.
Has Hugh Jackson ever been considered for another head coaching job?
I mean, no, he was dreadful. It was
Yeah.
horrible. Like, why would he?
No, I mean, if that's your job, you're a minority. This is what we were saying when Flores' lawsuit first came out. I mean, you're a minority head coach, right? You finally get one of the 4 or 5 spots that minorities are able to hold and maintain if it goes that high in any given year. It was down to like 3 and maybe even 2. And, and then they start qualifying people as minorities, even though, let's face it, the guy who looks lily white and, looks like he's part of the silent majority, right?
Yeah, the
Probably
Dolphins
voted for Trump.
I mean,
And, they're talking about these guys as minorities because they're so desperate to get somebody that meets the parameters so that they don't look like such staunchy white old fools.
yes, they are.
In the NFL with the way that, regard to the way that they dole out management and significant positions of leadership. And I guess you would have to say of some level of power within the franchise. And, to be told then that, hey, you've got to go out there and like lose every game. And you're going to be like 1-15 or 0-16, and that's going to be your first season as a head coach ever.
And we're going to keep you.
Yeah,
sure, 100%.
and you'll stay on the staff here because you
100%.
did what we wanted you to. And guess what? We want you to do it again next year. And you're like, wow. I mean, you talk about, being a patsy, huh? That's unbelievable.
But that's the thing is, like,
Lee Harvey Oswald. I mean, they're
that's
just
the
screaming,
understatement.
I'm a patsy. I'm a patsy.
Yeah, exactly. But that's
Yeah.
the thing, like the playing games, I don't know if they eradicated tanking. I'm just saying, and Howard Beck sort of brought it up, and it made me think. I can't remember hearing that term the last 2 years. And you and I talked about it every day because we couldn't. I didn't despise it like you did. It was just annoying to me. You despised it. You really thought it was literally the antithesis of what competition is about. And I mean, that's true.
Don't reward futility. That's the easy answer. Nobody listens to us, Lubie. That's the problem.
You have all these.
We had the
no one
perfect
listens at
solution
all.
for the overtime in football, and it should be that way in a regular season and in the postseason. Resume the game where it left off. That's all you need to do there. It's perfectly fair. It maintains the integrity of what went on for the first 60 minutes of the game and actually enhances it because at least as you're coming down the pike there, all right, well, we may not get it right here. We're in a tie ball game, but we're going to be in a perfect position to win this thing in overtime, which should be the maneuverability should be towards having a team. They say, well, it might be an advantage. I don't see how. I mean, just resume the game where it was. It's a lot better than starting from scratch with a coin toss and then having one team not get a possession. That was insane. Whoever came up, I mean, what a cockamamie rule that was, huh? Think about it. All the brilliant people that they have. Hey, he's a football man. That have been in the game and around the game, and the players and the former players and the executives and the agents and everybody that's been, the fans, I mean, whatever. And they can't come up with something better than that? You have to be kidding me. We have the solution. Nobody's
You
listening.
did have it, and they
That's very, very unfortunate that has gone that way. Now, the overtime in hockey is great. The Panthers
That's
with another
amazing.
win. Mayo, I think he's gargling with razor
You must
blades
be
right
freaking
now.
out.
Mike Mayo. Yeah. He'll be with us Friday.
Oh my
And,
God.
well, look, it could happen, right? I mean, would that not be, just the most deflating thing when you see a team a good team having a magical season by any standard? 55-15, I believe, is their record.
Yes,
one loss.
yes.
Not including, the overtime points that they got. And in overtime, they're dynamite, right? I mean, they put 3 guys on the ice. They scored in a half a second yesterday.
It must be like that team. I haven't watched a lot of them, but the times I've seen them in overtime, the other team doesn't touch the puck.
Yeah. It's 11 in a row now they won. Towards the end of the season. They started the year hot and maintained it all through the entire season. They lose in the first round. That would be exceptional. All right, let's get to your Miami Heat. You're panicking. I started to say before we got sidetracked there into whatever else we were talking about, that you were fetching, pitching, moaning. I've never heard a guy complain so much about a team winning by double digits.
You should be happy you're not on
As the
Twitter.
Miami Heat won by 10, you had to figure that Atlanta was going to, peel itself off the mat a little bit. Although Trae Young, again, it was Robbie Benson City for Trae Young in this ball game. I mean, 10 turnovers and maybe even more.
Yeah.
I know we had 10, and the Heat, they put pressure on him as he's dribbling the ball. Now, he has all those herky-jerky moves where he is able to find his way into a new space dribbling the basketball, but he keeps running into brick walls. Yep. And then when that happens, he makes a very awkward pass, and the Heat, well coached by Spo and executing defensively, to just an absolute perfect component because they kept picking off his passes and turning them into layups.
Yep.
Trae Young, he was befuddled in this ball game once again. I think he had more points. Obviously he had more points than when he shot 1 for 12, but they also force him. He will throw up just a series of what would be just blatant chucks at key moments of games. Now he makes a few, but the percentage is low. And he helped give that game away in the end, Trae Young, very much so, to the Miami Heat, who were sparked by your man, Jimmy Butler. And you're always screaming for Butler to do what he did last night, like on a regular basis. Even the commentators on TNT, which, by the way, Iron Eagle in town.
Iron Man. I know, Iron Man. That was great.
I was torn last night, because we love Eric Reed. And, of course, he came on the show here, was brilliant. And, we love Iron Eagle, who just did a couple of shows with us on our Believe podcast and is always among the most entertaining guys that we ever speak to on any of these platforms.
Yep.
And so they're both doing a game. Now, I usually like to go, if there is a national broadcast of the game, I kind of like the national perspective just to see what other people are saying about the home team and how they're being regarded. And the book on the Heat is pretty much, universal, which is extremely deep. Look, did Duncan Robinson even play in this game last night? He was on the floor for a little while. What happened to him? He disappeared. He wasn't on the floor like 5 minutes in the second.
He played literally 6 minutes total, had 0 points. It was a weird rotation Spo was
How
doing
is that
last
possible?
night.
Guy went 8 for 9 on 3-pointers the night before. He's not even in the game.
Yeah, and they were struggling on offense. Outside of Butler, no one did anything. Strus had 14. Herro, because of 4 free throws in the last 2 minutes when the game was over, had 15. Bam had 9. Lowry had 9. Like, literally it was Butler. And then
Lowry was firing some bricks up there also. He played,
Well, he's been on defense.
Playing a role, but, he fired up some real bricks.
He's an older dude, and he's putting a lot of energy into defending Young, and he's doing a good job. Young was 50% last night, but he was 2 of 10 from 3, and a lot of that's Lowry. So I don't expect him to do much on offense, but, you could have used Robinson last night. So I'm curious what happened early that Robinson supposed all right, not tonight. And I don't get that one.
It's crazy, right? They don't even care, right? They just throw another guy in there, and he ends up doing similar things. Although Jimmy Butler was sensational in the game, always makes some very difficult baskets on the inside. Thus the name Jimmy Buckets. And last night he goes 4 for 7 from 3-point range, which is not his forte.
Nope.
And it just was in dominant fashion. And then a guy's going off on you for 45. How do you let him just stroll to the basket a couple times?
Oh, that one play at the end.
Oh, my God. In a tight ball game at that point.
That's my frustration of why other guys aren't doing better for the Heat. The Hawks are already a bad defensive team, and now they're without Capella, their only defensive force. That's why I'm I left that game, they won. I'm not that insane. I was happy they won. But then I looked at the box score, and I'm like 9-4. Bam Adebayo is considered one of the top 5 big men in basketball, and it's legitimate, especially the way he plays on both ends. This year, he took a step. Everyone agrees on that. When you're playing a team that's not good defensively without their big man, shouldn't Bam relish that? That's when he seems to have his worst games, 9-4. How do you have 9-4 when look what Butler did. Whenever Butler was aggressive, they did whatever they wanted. So where's Bam in those moments? That's what frustrates me as a Heat fan. When I'm watching Herro and Bam, they should annihilate this defense, and they're fumbling the ball out of bounds or throwing it to the other team or just look unmotivated or tired. I don't know. Those games frustrate the crap out of me, but that's why you have Butler to pick it up when those guys aren't hitting.
They covered the spread.
They did cover.
We both had them covering the spread, which was shaky. Once again, if the line makers were running the country, there'd be no wars, nothing. Everything gas would be like 38 cents a gallon because they hit this on the head again. The 7 and a hook was just generous enough to have that game being decided. It still could have come down to like some, Bozoic 3 going in on a half-court heave with no time left on the clock, and that would have been the differential in the spread. Because a 3-point shot there, and all of a sudden you're a winner if you had the Atlanta Hawks in that game. So that scene will shift to Atlanta for Game 3 with the Heat up 2-0. The shocker, of course, was New Orleans coming up with a win over the Phoenix Suns, who everybody, I don't know that they're going to breeze to the finals, but look, it doesn't seem like the West has much to offer except for Golden State
Warriors
at this point. And that was a late development, Golden State coming together and playing this kind of level of basketball. And Phoenix looked primed to just go all the way. Booker has 31 in the first half.
Oof.
Mr. Justice Winslow. Booker has 31 in the first half. The guy's playing a sensational ball game. Now, I didn't see him hurt himself. He apparently aggravated a hamstring. To what extent, we don't know, but we all know this. Anybody who's ever had like a slightly strained hamstring knows that that thing could pop at any time.
Oh, no. Yeah,
and if it pops, then you're in trouble. So the only way to resolve that, I don't know, is there some kind of electrotherapy you can do to a hamstring? Is there some way that you can sort of expedite the whole process? Yeah. What do you think? I don't know.
I don't know.
That's the one. I imagine there's some treatments you can have, but
that's one of those injuries where it's not like it magically repairs. That's a pain thing where you can play on it. Probably won't make it worse, but it will
you can't
not
run full speed.
It won't get better until you do nothing for a couple weeks at least, if not longer. And he has 2 days here, 2 days there, and he's going to have to play. And they need him. I mean, without him, they're not a number one seed. They're not contending for a championship without Devin Booker. So I'm curious as to what this injury means for him and them going forward. I mean, you could see, look, yeah, the Pelicans might have been in it last night. They wouldn't have won that game. Like, the way Booker was playing, it wasn't even fair. Like, he literally had 15 points in 4 minutes.
Yeah, he was great. He started out right back, and I turned away from the game for a while and then came back, and I didn't catch the part where, he got hurt, like I said, but, I'm looking at the crawl later to see the results, and at 31 points, wow, in the first half, just a dynamite exhibition of offensive prowess. And, you would have to think that he would have at least been enough of a contributor in the second half, because the Suns did get a little closer. It looked like they were going to find a way to eke out the ball game. But and it's Brandon Ingram. I mean, it brings up a sports talk special here. Would you rather have Brandon Ingram right now or Anthony Davis? And I think the answer probably is Brandon Ingram.
One
plays, the way that
he's playing. One doesn't.
New Orleans, man. He has developed into a bona fide star. And a lot of people thought he was going to be that when he was with the Lakers. Now, the Lakers go all in. They get Anthony Davis. They do win a championship. And so they have that. Now, the last 2 years, it's been a disaster, including missing the playoffs this year with the frequently injured and rarely playing Anthony Davis. The idea that Davis will play a whole season seems very far-fetched, does it not?
Never.
Even with load management, because for some reason, he just always gets up. I mean, he hustles. And he always gets tangled up on the inside amidst a sea of like octopus-like legs, and somehow ends up twisting an ankle or, having his knee fallen on in an awkward fashion, and misses a lot of games, right? Takes him a long time to recover. Well, would you rather have that guy on your roster right now or Brandon Ingram, Mike Lubie Lubitz?
No, you want the guy that's playing, and you want a guy that in this day and age fits. Like, that's why he was the number 2 pick out of Duke. Ingram is. He's a long guy that can. He's Kevin Durant-esque, where he's long, he can put it on the floor, and he can shoot.
Good player.
That was his thing.
Yeah.
And he's gotten better at the other stuff. He's become more of a leader, a better passer. He's not a total death knell when it comes to defense. Like, he's become the guy the Lakers thought they were getting at number 2. Just LeBron doesn't wait for young guys, which was dumb, because if he had just waited for these young guys, he would have the team he needs to win a title. He would be surrounded by a bunch of young dudes.
Remember they had Kuzma and they had Ingram, and they thought they really had it together.
I mean, they had Lonzo Ball, who's turned into one of the better point guards in the NBA. He was just a highly sought-after free agent. The Chicago Bulls competed in that game 1 without Ball. Like, if Ball's in that series, it's a different series for the Bulls and the Bucks. Like, those are all guys that were on the Lakers. Like, and Davis doesn't play. And Davis doesn't play.
What is it, Pelinka, man? Did he do enough capitulating and just giving in to LeBron James' whims and wishes to just completely destroy the Los Angeles Lakers roster?
Yeah.
You won't be seeing winning time about this team.
No.
Which, by the way, again, last night I tuned in for like a small segment of the show. I mean, this portrayal of Pat Riley is bizarre. No, they had Riley like stuffing.
Supposedly, I think Jerry West, and I've seen
Westhead. They had him stuffing Westhead into a bathtub and beating the living daylights out of him.
I have to watch the last 3 episodes, but supposedly, because everyone's complaining about this. And I think Jerry West has an actual lawsuit because there's a book,
he
Winning
should,
Time.
They made him out to be the biggest jerk off that you've ever seen.
There's a book,
life.
Winning Time, that portrays them all accurate. It takes who they are and stretches it a little bit, but it's not caricatures. Winning Time, the movie, Adam McKay, look, he's a guy that works with Will Ferrell. So what he did was took reality and made it totally farcical. But the problem is, it is shot like a documentary. And there's enough reality to it that people take it like people like me who weren't around in that era and only know these guys as older gentlemen watched it for the first few episodes until you started ranting about it. Like, oh my God, wow, Jerry West was a fuck. And Pat Riley was a wuss. And what's wrong with Chick Hearn? Like, is he a racist? All these guys are portrayed insane. Like total scumbags. And Bus was never considered, I know he was a ladies' man, but this guy, they make him out to be a total loon. Like, he just doesn't give a shit. He is trying to pull everything out of his ass like it's a pyramid scheme. Like, they portray everyone in a way that it's like, they were always portrayed like, wow. And Magic, like, everyone hated him, and I don't remember hearing any of those stories. Like, I could see Norm Nixon not liking him, but the rest of the team must have fucking loved him. Like, the kid came in winning a title and helped them win a title. So it's like, okay, I don't understand. I never heard any of these stories. So I'm like, wow, this must be the greatest documentary ever or series ever because they're totally changing history. I was like, wow.
It's our artistic license to an extreme. It really is. I mean, we're talking Christo.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, really? Exactly. Christo? That's art? Okay, great. Exactly. This is art here, and we're going to get into a lot of stuff here. Thanks for being with us here on the Defo Show.
So we talked a little more than the Miami Heat today on the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. The Dolphins, the draft is a little over a week away. The Dolphins don't have a lot of picks in the draft. The Dolphins, what they've done is use those picks from the past, set up a foundation, and use other picks they've accrued to go get talent for now. So the draft's a little boring. Who knows what they're going to do with pick 102. They could use offensive line help, safety, linebacker, an edge, and I would presume at 102, nearing the end of the 3rd round, with their supplemental pick, they will draft the best player available. We also talked about a team that doesn't really worry about the draft. They've used the draft well, but they focus on winning now. The Miami Heat last night went up 2-0. Jimmy Butler put that cape on. Jimmy Butler was Superman. The rest of the team was Tyler Herro has been nowhere to be found through 2 games. I mean, when he has a ball in his hands, all year you were confident. All year he just took his game to another level. Should be 6th man of the year. One of the best young players in the game. The playoffs, the first 2 games, he's been a joke. He's been dreadful. When the ball's in his hands, you're scared because he's either going to turn it over, take a shot, airball it, take a shot, brick it, or make an errant pass. He just hasn't been good. And on defense, we know he was a liability. He was better this year, but he's back to sort of being defensively. Bam Adebayo, look, he's coming off of COVID protocols, so that takes time to build up your energy. And he's been playing good defensively, and that takes a lot of energy. But 9 points and 4 rebounds won't cut it. Jimmy Butler is here, too. In those cases, when everyone's struggling, raise up. But Kyle Lowry, and I get he's using a lot of defensive energy. He's an older dude on Trae Young, but 9 points ain't going to work. Robinson stars in game 1, and then game 2 barely plays. Like, I don't know what was going on with that game. And I get it. Butler, we've saw in that run to the NBA Finals a couple years ago in the bubble, Butler will fill his team out, and if they're struggling, he'll raise up. But Tyler Herro is way better than what we've seen. And he talked about, I'm not going to struggle like I did last year. He was horrendous in the playoffs last year. And a lot of it was they were tired, right? Okay, well, they've soared this year, the number 1 seed. Every major guy's missed a lot of games, so they shouldn't be exhausted. Tyler Herro talked about going into these playoffs, he's going to be a different dude. He hasn't. He was the same guy we saw last year. He struggled. He's looked scared. And that's not good. The Heat are up 2-0. They won by double digits both games. That's great. But Tyler Herro has to wake up. And Bam Adebayo, I understand the COVID protocols. They get an extra day of rest. Hopefully that'll help him. The Hawks are not good defensively, and they're missing their big man, their only defensive guy in Clint Capella. If you're Bam Adebayo, how are you not thriving? How are you not annihilating the competition? You are literally considered a top 5 big man in the NBA, especially when you combine defensive abilities and offensive abilities. Bam had taken a step this season. And again, in the playoffs, like we saw last year, he has struggled. So I'm hoping it's because, he's been out of it with the COVID protocol stuff, and we'll see a better Bam. But Bam has to be aggressive. Herro has to be aggressive because this team should be slotted as a contender for the NBA Finals. But the way they played, they're up 2-0. And it's cool that they're up 2-0 without having their tertiary guys play well. But if you look at the Sixers, the team that they may have to play, who's also up 2-0, they've been dominant. And their extra guys are why. Like, Embiid's played well. But Harden's been okay, not great. And Harris has been really good. And Maxey has been their best player. He's their, 4th, 5th guy? The Heat's 4th, 5th guy is supposed to be better than the Sixers' 4th, 5th guy. So when you're looking down the road, and I get it, you have to get through this series. It's not done by any means. But the idea is, as a 1 seed, you want to see who's next. The Sixers aren't messing around. So Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo have to wake up. And they have to wake up now. Game 3 will be in Atlanta. The Heat are up 2-0. Hey, look, they are up 2-0. So we take it. Jimmy Butler was amazing. Set a career playoff high with 45 points. Also went for 5 assists, 5 rebounds. Was really everywhere. And at the end of the game, when the Hawks cut a double-digit lead down to 3 with 3 minutes left or 4 minutes left, Jimmy Butler single-handedly put the team on his back. Got a steal, took the ball down, got a dunk, made it 5, made a huge 3, made it 8, and just went on a 7-0 run individually and really took that to a double-digit lead, and the Heat didn't look back. Really excited for what Friday will bring. I'm hoping we see a different Bam, we see a different Herro, we see what we saw from Robinson in Game 1. We see the Kyle Lowry I knew or I thought we were getting, and more from Jimmy Butler. And you'll see or hear more of us if you just check us out each morning, 7 to 9. Just Google The Defo Show, DEF. Check out our exclusive content podcast on the Believe Network. Go to Believe.com, search After Hours, and each and every day our South Florida skewed content right here, The Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Recently we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?